Hi, everyone. Welcome to Entrepreneurship by Design with Dr. C. I'm so glad you're here with us today because we have an amazing guest, Leslie. Leslie is not an influencer. She's an impact maker. She is a branding and marketing strategist who services. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Entrepreneurship by Design with Dr. C. I'm so glad you're here with us today because we have an amazing guest, Leslie. Leslie is not an influencer. She's an impact maker. She's a branding and marketing strategist who supports service-based entrepreneurs get consistent clients without having the pressure to post on social media. Growing a business in the online world, we feel like we're expected to be constantly putting out endless content in order to get more clients. Leslie disagrees. And she is here to shift you out of feeling like a full-time content creator into a business owner. Using her signature client connection method, the amazing entrepreneurs she works with are able to connect with strangers and convert them into paying clients quickly and easily. You do not need to be held back by not having an audience, not being able to keep up with content, or not wanting to dance on a video. The silent but deadly successful methods of marketing are here for you to grow your client base and create the successful business you want and deserve. And thank you so much, Leslie, for being here today. It is such a pleasure to have you. And I would love for you to just dive into your journey, how you got here today, and then we can go a little bit deeper.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I'm Leslie Stevens. I'm a branding and marketing strategist, and I specialize in working with coaches and service-based businesses and how to get more clients without having to post on social media. So I learned this the hard way, but it's also near and dear to my heart because I learned it the hard way. And I watched so many other entrepreneurs struggle with the same thing. Because so often, I had every mentor, every business coach, every social media post I scrolled by just told me to get clients in my business. All I had to do was post on social media more. So my first business was as a health coach. I'm a registered dietitian, a personal trainer, all of those things. So I thought I would start a health coaching business. And I started posting online and with all of the recommendations people had given me because I genuinely wanted to help people. And I knew, okay, I got to get out there if I want to help people. So posting on social media was the way. And I'm very introverted in nature. So posting any picture of myself, getting on stories, talking on camera, all of it felt like such an uphill battle. But I was so determined to help more people and create a successful business so I could really create freedom and flexibility in my life. That I was like, if this is what it takes, this is what I'll do. So I did it for years. And I got to the point where I was talking to my husband about starting a family. And I was like, okay, well, I can't keep working 16-hour days. I can't keep trying to balance being on social media all the time to promote and market my business and also working with my clients and everything that comes on the back end of a business. So I need to find a different way. And I was also getting to the point where I had a lot of people reaching out to me to help them with their branding because they saw the brand that I built. I was working with somebody who did branding for very large companies, and she took me under her wing and really taught me how to do it. And I have this lifelong love of anything creative, even my USP, my unique selling proposition as a dietitian was creative application, because everybody is different and we have the same basic healthy habits we need to do, but you need to be creative about how you apply it. So they were all of these things that was this like natural transition between businesses and health coaching and these life moments that were like, okay, you need to find a better way to function. And things just kept popping up. Things were flowing really well. I was falling into a ton of success very quickly with my new business. I was fully booked for my first 3 months. And I just had this moment where I was like, okay, I've been fully booked for 3 months. I haven't posted anything online about my new business. I don't have a website. I don't have any social media with it. I need to get on social media or else I won't be able to keep this going. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't been on social media at all. And I've been fully booked after working for years to try and get myself out there on social media to hopefully get clients in my health coaching business. And I was like, let me take a look at what I've actually been doing. And I had been doing a variety of things that I would have never considered as marketing, because it was talking to people, it was doing small group trainings, it was having interviews, things like that. And I never looked at them as marketing. It was just simple, easy conversations for me. And it was bringing in business and very consistently. So I was like, okay, what if I keep doing this? What if I just break it down into simple, actionable steps and I know what to do every week, month, quarter, so I can keep clients rolling in? And I did it. And I was like, I have to tell everyone about this, because I knew I had friends who didn't even start businesses because they didn't want to have to post on social media. And I was like, you are incredible at what you do. You can create amazing transformations for people. You don't have to post on social media if you don't want to. You can still create success. But we live in this world where we feel that pressure to post and put everything out there. So I made it my mission now to show everyone that you do not have to post on social media to grow a successful business, and you don't have to be an influencer to make an impact.
I love it. And I love your tagline too. You're not an influencer, you impact change, and you're able to create that. And I think that's so important and so valuable what you said, because I do think so many people fall into that trap of I have to post every day. I know I felt like that when I started my business, but I have my third new business. I have not promoted anywhere online. It's been all word of mouth, and I'm seeing the results. I'm just like, oh, wow. Just like what you were saying. And I'm so curious, challenging that, because I think so many people have that feel that they have to post in order to create business and attract the right clients. How do you challenge that notion?
You really have to, I mean, it's in the proof, isn't it? You take the actions, you tell people what they need to do, and they get the results, because we make it so much more complicated with trying to keep up with algorithms, make sure you're posting at the right time, the right strategy. And we get so caught up in it, we don't realize when we start businesses, a lot of times right now, we're building them backwards, because we're focused in the wrong place first. We're focusing on all of those social media marketing strategies when we should be focusing on, okay, what is our brand? What is the transformation? Am I making my product or service so good that people are going to talk about it? Because it's word of mouth marketing that we're showing. Even in our social media marketing, that's what's creating sales. So you don't have to post it on social media. If you have people telling their friends, telling their colleagues, telling anybody they pass on the street about you and what you do. So I think really when you challenge that thought of, okay, but everybody else says I should be posting on social media, you have to put in the work and prove it to yourself. And you have to trust yourself enough that you can create results in a different way. It's kind of like following trends. Like you don't have to follow the trend, and you can be yourself, and people can love you for it. And you can create so much success out of a different strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. So beautifully said. And you know what triggered my thought? When you think of Starbucks, for instance, or Porsche, or like very luxurious like brands and whatnot, they don't, I mean, Starbucks now does have ads, but before it was all word of mouth. And it's just because people are talking about it, and it's a product or a service that is so good. And then you can't give up, or you just want to know about it. You want to know more about it. You don't need to see the advertisements. It's in the proof, like what you were saying. And I know you have client connection method that you utilize. How do you empower entrepreneurs to quickly and easily convert strangers into paying clients?
So I've broken it down into three really simple steps. So the first is they go out and they connect with people, and you can be very strategic about the way that you go about connecting. You're not just kind of going out there willy-nilly hoping that you're going to be talking to the right people. If you're clear on your brand, who you help, how you can support them, you can go to the specific places where your ideal client is hanging out or people who you could potentially collaborate with. All of these different connections, all you have to do is reach out and start a conversation. So even if it doesn't lead anywhere, the more you put yourself out there, the more you put yourself in the position for these opportunities. Some people think it's luck, but you are actually putting yourself in the position to be lucky and create those results. So once you make more connections, then the conversations that you have are really, there are so many different types of conversations. I call them the silent but deadly successful methods of marketing. And you're really just proving to whoever you've connected with that you can create a result. You can take people from where they are right now to exactly where they want to be. And you're proving that to them through the conversation that you're having. So you're structuring it in a way where they feel supported and then they feel empowered to then convert into a client. And those conversations are really allowing you to increase that know, like, and trust factor. And if you haven't heard of that before, it's just people need to know, like, and trust you enough to buy from you. So you really get to a deep level of that know, like, and trust very quickly when you're having a real conversation instead of just hoping somebody's going to see you or in one of your posts or see enough of your posts where they know, like, and trust you enough to buy from you. Because even though social media marketing is kind of marketed to us as a quick and easy win, it takes a lot of time to nurture those relationships. And we don't have any control over how often somebody sees you or if they're actually reading your content. But when you're with people and having a conversation, it makes it so simple and easy. And it doesn't take weeks or months or years. Sometimes it can take a 45-minute conversation or just one conversation, and people know, yes, I want to work with you, or no, I don't. And we want both of those answers.
Yeah, absolutely. And because it is that connection piece. And I love the method that you have created, because I do think a lot of times people are hoping, oh, did they see my post? Or, oh, they're going to buy it because I posted one story about it. And it is building that trust. It is building that connection piece, because I do think you can have one conversation with someone and know instantly, like, yeah, we're going to be a good working relationship, good friend, or no, I never want to talk to this person again.
Exactly.
To be quite honest, from my experience. I mean, usually people are great, but everybody's vibe is different, which is a wonderful thing. And I want to touch on what you said, because I love that term. What are some of the silent but deadly successful marketing methods that you advocate for in growing a client base?
Absolutely. So the first one is referrals, and creating some type of referral system or incentive so that the work that you're already doing is working for you. And before I get into even more of them, I call them the silent but deadly successful methods because people aren't shouting them from the rooftops. They're not talking about them enough, because they're really what the foundational elements of what successful businesses are built on. So they're incredibly successful. And then I always talk about having like a signature workshop, something that you can rinse and repeat that one piece of content, and you have a clear and simple message that's showing people what you can do and how you create results for them. And then you can tailor it so quick and easy to whatever community you're going into and talking to, or you carry that same message into one-to-one conversations. So if somebody's referring somebody to you, you go into a get to know you or a coffee chat conversation, you already know how you're going to guide them through the conversation, because you've created this one thing that you can share over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And then there are different methods like doing interviews or doing guest expert sessions, training sessions, also collaborations, like so many different ways you can collaborate. One of the ways that I've found very successful for me and my clients is doing corporate partnerships. And sometimes that can feel really intimidating, talking corporate-y. Most people want to get out of corporate, but they have communities of specific people, and you can go in there and support them with so many different kinds of services or support. It's just being strategic again about where you're placing yourself and how you can support them. So there are so many different ways that you can do it, but those are a few.
No, those are spot on. And I think it's getting creative, right? Where you don't have to do what is socially or expectations of what is socially correct or not correct, but it's really focusing on what works best for you and diversifying how you're marketing. Because you're right, there's so many opportunities that go untapped because people are just like, well, I need to do it through social media. I need to do it through this. This is what everybody else is saying. So there's so much noise, but if you quiet the noise and just really focus what feels right, like what you're saying too, of just partnerships, collaborations, that just gets your message out there. Because at the end of the day, it's getting your message out there so you can help more people. How you do that can look so different, and it's okay to do it different ways. I think it's beautiful, and it just diversifies the experience and the exposure as well.
Absolutely. When I was a health coach, I'll give specific examples in case somebody wants them. When I was a health coach, I partnered with a personal trainer who's putting on something for New Year's, and he did the training, and I supported his clients with the nutrition. And then I also partnered with a local gym to give talks on stress management and how to do it through your nutrition and exercise. And I had a corporate partnership where I did a wellness program. Again, something around New Year's. They wanted a New Year's wellness program. So I went in there and I helped all their employees in the office kind of implement healthy habits. So not only did that help them with their health, but also the office environment and the community and all of these different things. So those are some examples if people are wondering what those collaborations might look like.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually just thinking as you were saying that, I was like, oh, wow. Like when I was a therapist, I really did look at going to schools and going to gyms too, of just giving talks about stress relief and mind-body connection and how it can really be beneficial. But I think it's just so beautiful what you've been able to create and examples for other people to take it and make it work for them and whatever it looks like. But I think you're not limited in what you can do. And I think that's the great part, because there's just so many opportunities waiting. We just got to take them.
Exactly. But it's all about being open to the opportunities, because it's like you thought about it before, but it was probably not the traditional way you thought about marketing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's bringing it back into the light and talking about like the things that not only connects you with clients, but also increases your credibility very quickly, because people are inviting you into wherever their community is or their business. So they're trusting you. And when they trust you, the potential clients automatically like see you in a light that you're an expert.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Couldn't have said better myself. And I'm curious because I know a lot of the clients that you work with, they feel like they're kind of a full-time content creator, but they feel like they have to post so much, they're doing so much, but they're not seeing the results sometimes because they're putting so much emphasis on the post. How do you approach shifting entrepreneurs' feeling from being a full-time content creator to being a confident business owner?
Absolutely. So the first thing is, it depends on the person. So, and where they are at in business and the different ways that they kind of want to be challenged to grow. But one of the best ways that I do it is I kind of challenge them to step away from social media for a little bit and to focus on these different methods of marketing and to try and test and get the data of where they're actually getting results. So some of my clients still continue to post on social media. And if it is your thing, I think it's awesome. It's just another marketing tool. There's nothing wrong with it. But we get distracted and we're not getting the results that we want to with all that time, energy, and effort that we're putting into it. We want to feel like we're getting something out of it. So I have them actually track where they're getting their clients from. Test different methods, not all of the methods all at once, but pick 2 or 3 and look at where they're actually getting clients, and then break it down so you've got the numbers. It pulls that emotion out of it, because we have the feeling to pressure, like the pressure to post on social media. We feel like these might not be successful marketing strategies, or we feel like it might not work, but we got to take the feeling out of it and look at the actual numbers, because it might be uncomfortable because you haven't done it before. Most things we don't do are uncomfortable the first few, maybe sometimes all the time. But if they're working for you and they're working for your business, which again, it depends on the person's skills. It depends on their strengths. It depends on their business and what type of business they have, which one of these methods are going to work best for them. So when they get that information, it really allows them the choice if they want to post on social media or not, because they know they're going to get clients either way.
Yeah.
So everything about the way we set up the client connection method is just empowering entrepreneurs to have the choice about what marketing methods they want to use.
Yeah, absolutely.
And having that confidence that you know where your next client is coming from, and you know the things that you're doing are going to provide you with a return. That type of confidence in your business and your marketing is everything, and it allows you so much freedom and flexibility to then try more things and implement new strategies.
Exactly, because you don't know what you don't know until you try it, and it might feel uncomfortable. Majority of the time, it does feel uncomfortable trying something new. I'm sure a lot of us, probably 95% of us, have felt uncomfortable doing something new. If you haven't, let me know. I would love to know.
Yeah, tell me your secret.
Yeah, that would be great. I would appreciate it. But I think it is uncomfortable if you've never done it before, even just getting on video or doing anything that feels off. But the more you do something, the more you feel comfortable. Then you can figure out, okay, this isn't the right strategy, looking at the numbers, looking at the data, because that is going to show you. Because there's things I'm like, oh, I don't really want to do that. But then I see the results and I'm like, okay, like, how can I make this feel more comfortable? I like it, and merge it together where it does feel right in the structure it is. And I would love to hear a success story that you can share with us about any entrepreneur that you've worked with who's implemented your strategies and achieved significant growth in their client base.
Yeah, absolutely. So the fun thing about like getting my message out there and talking to other entrepreneurs about this is I haven't had a single person who hasn't been like, oh, no way. Every single entrepreneur I've talked to has had this like breath of fresh air. Like you can physically see it in their body that like relieves this like pressure to post. So every single person I've gotten to talk to has opened their mind and implemented new strategies, like almost immediately. I have people calling me even after doing podcasts, and they were the host, and they'll call me and be like, hey, I did what you were saying to do in the podcast, and I got 5 clients, and it was awesome, and it felt so fun and easy. So it's like little things like that, but like clients that I have worked with, they have taken my strategy and they have grown memberships, and they have grown like certification courses and things like this, because they have like backed up, looked at the big picture, focused on their brand, their business, making their message so clear and concise that whatever situation they're in, they're communicating what they can do so clearly that people they've created this path of least resistance for people to become clients. So I've had people who told me they were spending maybe 3 or 4 hours on marketing a day with social media content and all of that stuff that goes into that. And then they've gone to like 1 hour a week. So they brought in more clients. So like double, triple the amount of clients, because now they're focusing on the things that are working. So they're cutting their marketing time and they're bringing in more clients by doing less. So it's really cool to watch that happen and then kind of see the ease in how it's being created for them.
Mhm. I love that. And it's so true too. When you're focused on result producing activities, things are going to start to grow and expand when it feels right and aligned too. Because I feel like there's been a lot of moments where I've had that feeling of like, this is not the right thing. And I'm putting so much time and energy into something and it's just not working. And as soon as I shift my energy and focus on what is aligned, more things start to happen, more opportunities transpire essentially. But I love that you're able to help your clients really see that and go into their zone of genius, essentially, is what I like to call it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
be able to thrive because they're doing things that feel aligned. They're cutting back on the time where it wasn't useful because it wasn't working for their strategy. And they were able to get more clients based off of word of mouth and just showing up as themselves and not having to post every single day. I
Yeah.
mean, I
We
post a
get
lot,
them.
but
Yeah. Well, we get them out of being busy and
yeah.
just being efficient because we think we do more things, we're working harder, we're more efficient, so that's what we're supposed to be doing. But
Mhm.
we take them out of just being efficient and actually make them effective first
Mhm.
and then efficient efficient as they want to be, or give them more time and space to do what they love in their business and in their life.
Absolutely. And I'm so curious because I know a lot of it has to do with just putting out so much content, but realizing putting content out that makes sense and also showing up as what makes sense for them. What advice would you have for entrepreneurs who want to break free from the content creation treadmill that they're on and adopt more of an effective, efficient approach to getting more clients?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing I always recommend is making more connections. So going out, having more conversations. You're going to learn so much faster by actually doing things than taking in more information or doing more of the things that already aren't working. So if you back up and you just start talking to more people about what you do,
Mhm.
everything is going to start to become more clear for you. You're going to start figuring out what message resonates with people, what people really want. How can
Mhm.
you really help people the best? And sometimes you find out that you thought your ideal client was somebody else, and you've had so many conversations, and you could actually help this group of people so much better. That's happened to a few people.
Yeah.
And a lot of I think marketing is a giant game of telephone.
Mhm.
By going out there and having more conversations, making more connections, you get way more clarity on your message.
Mhm.
And just like in telephone, if it's not clear at the beginning, it's going to be a mess by the time it gets 10 people down. So the
Yeah.
more clear you are, the better you get at communicating it. And that all takes practice. The better it's going to be when people refer you or talk about what you do. And then when people get to you, they're like, oh, I hear you do this and that you can help me. How
Mhm.
can we work together?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it makes so much sense too. And even just with all the success you've had, all the amazing stories you have, what have been some of the obstacles you've had to overcome in building your business?
Oh, so many. I feel like that's half the fun though. I think the biggest obstacle for me was trusting myself enough to go out there and speak a message that I know is the truth,
Yeah.
but is so opposite from what everybody else is speaking about in the online world. And I've had moments of hesitation where like, oh, maybe I should be posting on social media. I'm like, no, Leslie, like you've got so much proof that you do not have to do that. But it's the constantly seeing it. It's everybody's having success with it that we can see. We don't know the full
Right.
story. And unfortunately, that's not always the truth. And you know
Mhm.
these things, but you can find yourself doubting your path, I think,
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur. And I've held my message back from big communities too often. I do not do it anymore, but that was one of my biggest challenges, and my biggest obstacle was myself and my mindset around it, just because it was the opposite of what everybody else was speaking about. But also now I know that's why it's so important.
Mhm.
I was in a mastermind group with people who are running programs that were like this type of influencer and this type of influencer, and learn how to become this type of influencer. And I was like, okay, well, where's the gap? Where's what I am really good at? Like, and I was like, not being an influencer. I was like creating the success without having to post on social media. That's where my magic is. That's what I'm good at, but nobody is talking about it. So when nobody's talking about it, it makes you hesitate a little bit. But that hesitation was my biggest obstacle.
I do appreciate you sharing that, because I think part of that hesitation allowed you to really lean into it, because it isn't talked about enough, because there's so many things on social media, blank, but talking about how you have to show up, how you have to be visible, how you have to post so your clients can see you, your potential clients, customers. But I think it's going to your sweet sauce and what makes sense for you. But there's so many people that do struggle with posting on social media or don't want to do it. And they don't have to, because I don't think every business is built off of social media. Yes, technology is important. That's what is able to connect us right now and all those factors. But I think it's leaning into what feels right. Like, of course, there's going to be some things that we don't want to do, but are important for business, like taxes
Absolutely.
and all that stuff.
Very important.
you know, little things. But being able to understand what works best. And I think you're really onto something too, because I think there's so many people that want to be influencers or want a YouTube channel and let it grow and all of those things. And those are wonderful things, but realizing you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. And that's what's going to set you apart. And that's what you've been able to do. You're not an influencer, even though you are influencing people, and being able to stand in their power of what works for them and doing something behind the scenes, because that's going to show up very clearly for every person who's able to stand in their power of what works for them. Because I think a lot of people are missing that connection piece, especially when COVID happened and all of those things. I mean, people are still a little bit more standoffish in that regard, but I feel like it's coming back more and more. I mean, we're later in after COVID, but understanding that connection piece is really important. How you do it can be really different. And that's the message I'm hearing too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually why I called it the client connection method, because when you are getting potential clients, especially in a service-based business, people are craving connection. They really are, especially now, craving connection, and they want to see that you're a human being and that you're listening to what they need and that you can really support them. And that's the way I've designed my method to really show that really simply and easily and straight to the point. But connection is it's the core of business.
Yeah. It absolutely is. And I think that's where sales happen. Like, it's building a relationship first and foremost versus trying to sell somebody something. Like, I feel like you will know, okay, this person needs to connect with this person. Like, that's how I always think. And I know not everyone thinks like that, but that's okay. Superpower. Understanding you build the relationship first, because it's the know, trust, like factor too. You build that, and not everyone's going to be right for everybody, but understanding just you're building something beautiful. It just could be a connection, and you get referrals from that one person. They might not be your client, but they might have referrals for you. So I think it's just important in general, but I would love to know, what are like 2 or 3 tips you can give entrepreneurs that are on this journey?
Oh, yeah. So my first one, I already said, my most important one is going out there and making more connections, because that's the one we hesitate to do the most. We think we're very busy, but how many times are you actually having conversations that might lead to a new client? So put yourself in the position, start with 5. You can do 5 a week, 5 a month, whatever seems manageable for you, but make sure you're being intentional about putting yourself out there in a real way to make those connections. And then my second tip is, do not be afraid to fail or mess up. I don't believe there's any failure, because you're always learning as you go. And I think that we get so caught up in trying to be perfect, have the perfect message, have the perfect feed, have the perfect program, all of these things. And that holds us up so much from taking so much action and being able to help so many more people. So don't be afraid of messing up. Just start doing things. again, I mentioned it before, you're going to learn so much more from actually doing things than sitting there and planning and learning and trying to have it perfect before you go out there. So I do one thing every day that scares me.
Ooh,
And I highly recommend, I know it can be overwhelming to do it every single day, but try and do it once a month. Do something that really scares you, and you'll really open your eyes to how you can grow so quickly when you do something like that.
Mm.
And then my third one, there's so many that I have to pick from.
I believe it. I believe it. It's hard to choose.
So for the third one, I would have to say, learn to trust yourself. Because so often when, especially at the beginning of entrepreneurship, you're looking to everybody else to kind of see, okay, what are they doing? How did they create success? What do I need to do? And we can get caught up in so many different methods and kind of lose focus of why we started in the first place and what our goals were and all of that. So yes, go ahead, try all of the things, but remember to trust yourself and look at, okay, how do I want to run my business? How do I want my life to look like while I'm going through this? And build up the proof that you're doing things that are actually working for you. Because when you kind of let all of that power go, you get overwhelmed and you get caught up and you get confused, and that's okay. That's okay. I've been there. A lot of people I know have been there. But trusting yourself is going to bring that uniqueness and that part of your business that people really want. And they are going to want to work with you because it is you and you're doing things your way. So even if everybody is doing it in a different way, trust yourself enough to know, okay, this is working for me. This is what I want to do. And if you have days where you struggle, where I still do this to this day, is I'll write down all of the proof that I have that I've done the right things. I've taken the right chances. And I was actually thinking the other day, I was like, I don't even remember my failures or the things that don't go right, because I just learn from them and then keep moving. So you're far more likely to remember your successes than those tiny failures that go along the way of creating your success.
Ooh, so well said. And I think too, I love that you said remove like failure from your vocabulary and really focus on the lessons learned, because that's where things change. You can learn from that experience. Not everything's going to work, but you move on from it and you're able to create that success. And I love that you still write down like, okay, here's all the proof. This is everything. Because that does, like, there's moments of weakness where you're just like, am I still on the right track? I mean, I have those moments too, like a little less now, but I think they do still pop up. I'm like, okay, is this the right decision? Did I? Okay. Yeah. I trust myself in this. It's time to move forward. But I think people listening to realizing that entrepreneurship, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I say that a lot. It's not my saying, of course, but understanding it is going to take time, and it's just keep going and focus on what makes sense for you. And I say that a lot too, because I think everybody is so different, and what works for one person might not work for the other. And when you were talking about that, what popped in my head was just, if you've seen like Instagram reels, it's like the trending sounds, or even on TikTok. And I'm just like, well, I don't want to do that right now. I might do it months later. And I'm like, that's okay. I'm not trying to like trend. Like, of course, yeah, I want to build certain things, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, this feels right now in this moment, and I'm going to do it right now. Even though people have done it months before and it's like not trending anymore, it's what felt right for me. And I think that's just the message, what you're saying too. It's really what works for each individual, but it starts with the connection piece first and foremost, and getting yourself out there. And it doesn't have to be a post. Yes, you can post, do what's right for you, but at the end of the day, that's not the only way to market yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I always think about social media now as every post is the opportunity to start a conversation. So why don't you just skip right to the conversation?
Yeah, I love that.
Save yourself some time and energy and skip right to the conversation, especially if you're just working on getting your first few clients, or you're not fully booked yet and you want to get a couple more through the door this month. Just skip right to the conversation and use your time and energy in a way that's more intentional and will get you better results.
Exactly. Just do that. And I'm curious, I know you use a lot of different tools. What are maybe your top one or two tools that you use to build your business that you have been using or you have in the past that have been helpful?
Yeah, so I use Kartra because it's a one-stop shop for everything. It makes it really simple to design courses and have your email marketing go through that, and makes payment processing really easy. And another one I actually started using is Experientify. So I've really enjoyed that for my online courses because it gamifies the experience. So now when people go through my courses, I have action steps that they take throughout it, and I'll send them little gifts whenever they reach certain milestones. So, I mean, it not only makes it fun for them, but it also makes it fun for me because I can see how they're progressing through the information. And I always say it's not your only reward to just get more clients in your business, but you should also be rewarded for taking the actions and doing the scary things before you get there. So I like to make it fun, and that has been a really fun platform for me to use, and something that's different from Kartra or Kajabi or any of those kind of online marketing tools.
Oh, I haven't used it, but I've been hearing a lot about it. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's my time to look into it a little further.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I believe it. And I love that you do give a little gift too. It's like that reward of, hey, you're hitting these milestones, you're moving forward in your business, but also for yourself too. You're doing the work that's necessary to progress forward. And I think that's a beautiful part of it. And I know you have other things that you do too. I know you have a podcast. I would love to learn a little, or them to know a little bit more about your podcast.
Yeah, my podcast is called Not an Influencer, an Impact Maker. And I get the opportunity to talk with these incredible entrepreneurs about the marketing methods that they used to grow their successful businesses that allowed them to not depend on social media marketing. So they tell us all the organic marketing methods they use. We talk about their stories and their progress, and we just have a lot of fun.
I love it. Great conversations. Definitely check that out, everybody. And I know outside of all the business that you do and all the marketing in person, I know you are a mother and a wife. What has motherhood, being a wife, and entrepreneurship look like for you?
It's been really fun. It really has. I think having a baby especially has allowed me to look at the things that are really important, not only in life, but also in my business. So I have stopped doing a lot of things that don't actually add to the success of my business. I'm much more intentional with the actions I take, much more intentional with the conversations that I have, and that actually 100% feeds into the client connection method, because now I don't do things that aren't going to give me the return on my time and energy. So it's really led me down a path to create even more success. And then being married, I know you're getting married soon, has been incredible, because in any moment of self-doubt or even success, I have somebody who's cheering me on before I'm even ready to accept anything that's going on. In those struggles, he's there to be like, it's okay, but I've seen you do this, this, and this, so I know you can make it through that. Or when I create success, he's like, I knew you would. So having that person there to support you in ways that's more just strategy and business, and that emotional support that you need, I mean, I'm very grateful for the family that I have while I'm also growing a business.
I love it. And I love the transparency too, because I think it's great to have somebody in your corner that's cheering you on, but also reminding you of all the success you have had when it's like that moment of weakness where you're like, oh my goodness, what is going right? But being able to have that support, I think, is so key. And what a beautiful journey you've had just going into motherhood as well, and being able to really integrate everything where it makes sense and works for you and your life as well. And I love to know, what are your future aspirations or goals for your business as you continue to grow it, as you continue to really help more people get their message out there in different marketing strategies?
So It's just my mission to help like 100,000 or more people just know that there are other marketing methods out there and that they do not have to be an influencer. So whether that they get that information from a talk I give or a conversation that we have, or from actually working with me, it is just my intention to really show people that there is a different way to creating success and that you can be you and you don't have to try and be somebody else to create that type of success.
Mm, I love it. And you're right. It's being us is our superpower, right? Nobody else is us.
Exactly.
And where can people find you, Leslie? Where can they find your services, your podcast? We're going to link everything below, but if you could let us know too.
Yeah, so you can find me on actually most social media channels because that is where I like to have conversations. So feel free to slide in my DMs anytime and have a conversation with me. You can find me at I am Leslie Stevens on Instagram. My podcast is on YouTube and anywhere that you can find podcasts. And you can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook and TikTok. So feel free to ask me any questions anytime, share your stories with me, share your struggles. We're all in this together.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Leslie, for coming on, just sharing your beautiful energy with us and everything you're doing to really help people get their brand and their messaging out there in ways that work best for them. So I so appreciate you coming on and sharing all your insights today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment below what was the biggest takeaway from Leslie today. I'm sure she would love to see that comment, and we'll see you on the next episode.